Welcome back to the Accounting Working Group podcast. I'm your host, Sean Stein-Smith, and I'm thrilled to be joined this month by friend and colleague. And I can't believe it's the first time I'm having you here on this podcast, Rafael Casas, who is the director of, of strategic alliances and partnerships at QuickFee. Rafael, it's awesome to have you on the podcast this month.
Sean, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure partnering and working with you.
Absolutely. Pleasure is all mine. And to just sort of introduce you and yourself to the podcast audience, I was going to ask you to give a quick background on yourself and your firm and sort of the role you currently have at QuickFee.
Yeah, great. So I've come from almost 20 years of finance and accounting consulting experience, working with SMBs to, large enterprise tier one companies around the world. Previously worked at Sage for over a decade, and Oracle NetSuite, Hanson Technologies, and part of Wall Street Blockchain Alliance, as well as some other crypto accounting firms that I've dabbled in the past. Have some experience, quite a bit of experience in the RPA AI side of the world as well. And had the pleasure of speaking at many different accounting and finance shows around the world. And my where I've landed here at QuickFee, it's been about close to 6 months now. I head up alliances and partnerships. So I'm really working with the large alliances from around the United States, from the Alineo Globals to AICPA to Prime Global to BDO alliances, and not just those types of alliances, but technology partners, embedded technology partners, really looking to support the full end-to-end integrations that accounting and law firms have from their bill to cash workflow, their credit card, their financing, their ACH options. And so that's kind of where I've landed here in the past 6 months. And it's been an amazing ride working with many different previous leadership from Sage that I worked with for many years.
Awesome stuff, Raf. And to piggyback on a few of your comments there. Now, first of all, I can't believe you have 20 years in this space. I have to ask you for your hair and your moisturizer, your tips later on. Uh, but just obviously in your background, it has sort of ranged, right? From automation, working with accounting firms, law firms, as you outlined, and obviously over the last 5 6 years, crypto has been hot. It's been cold. It has been implemented by companies, and then in some areas of accounting and audit, more recently exited. And so just here right now in October 2023, dating our conversation, um, if I had to ask you your point of view on sort of the current state of more broadly Web3 and tokenization of information, including payments. What are your thoughts?
I, broadly just from Web3 and crypto, I think it is really good from an entrepreneurship standpoint because being in that industry, there's so many new and exciting things that are popping up. And the trend that I've seen for a long time here, and that's continuing to grow even more within, these ebbs and flows of the industry, but it is payments. It's, the
Mhm.
optionality of payments, global payments, reducing or eliminating fees, which was ultimately, you know, a big point that why Bitcoin came out, Ethereum, and many other these types of digital assets. So I think that's where it will be make its mark to start. I think the regulations that are coming out are good. I think the more and more that you get that, the more and more that you're not having to guess in a moving target of
Mhm.
of regulations that are out there and how something should be treated. Um, but I would say there's many different negatives and positives. I think something that's kind of a big issue that I would see that's facing the sector, or two of them rather. It would be one that regulators often scapegoat Web3 or crypto space when it's really nothing related to them or
Hmm.
to the industry. I think that's just kind of sets back the tone and the trust and the integrity of the industry. And the other thing is just, you have making anything Web3 or digital assets enabled for the masses. It's got to be in such a way where, our grandparents don't even know they're using it on the back end. So it's just got a long way to go there. Um, I think it's very promising. I think the market is still in its infancy and still growing.
Hmm.
But those are some things that I've kind of come to mind. There's just a lot of moving parts.
Excellent points there, Raf. And to sort of pull on a few of those comments that you had made, I would also say that the most accurate sign that blockchain and tokenization and Web3 have moved beyond sort of this continuously troubleshooting phase is that people aren't talking about it anymore, right? And that's and that these tools and applications have been integrated so thoroughly that, to your point, that it's almost impossible to perceive them being used. And what I would say there is that, echoing on your comments, that it's a great opportunity and a great space for any entrepreneurs out there trying to start a firm, trying to innovate, and for folks working at large TradFi institutions, as we have seen, I would say, especially over the last half year or so, getting into this space, trying to operationalize and capture some of those opportunities connected to these new business models and new ways of conducting payments. And so, to try to tease out some more, facts out of you, Raf, if 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 I asked you to name one or two biggest headaches or problems with crypto accounting or tokenization at large, right? What are those top uh, one or two items to be fixed going forward?
Um, well, I think the continuation of, FASB and other regulators putting
Mhm.
out additional, guidance on what should be, what should be out there for not just large firms or firms that are dealing with digital assets, but crypto accounting softwares that exist out there. It's quite difficult to be nimble when there's so much gray area. Um, I would also say, I think people are still trying to figure out DeFi, the best way to audit, the best way to pull data from all these chains accurately. I think that not all integrations are created equal. When you're pulling blockchain data, they're not going to
Mhm.
be intended for good accounting. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done there. Um, those are the things that come to mind. I think
Mhm.
just bringing these technologies to the masses in a way where it's all happening on the back end. Um, I think once this AI hype cycle kind of starts to fizzle out a little bit, there'll be more blockchain investments. I think VCs are just fully focused on the AI trend right now and kind of taken a step back from anything blockchain or digital asset related. But I think those are the things that come to mind for me.
Mhm. No, and adding on to that, what I would say on that AI hype cycle is that, I know that SEC Chairman Gary Gensler has been, you know, on the hot seat quite a bit for his actions and his comments connected to various projects and crypto assets. But he has also issued some comments about AI. So I would say that AI hype cycle could be moving onto the hot seat pretty soon as well. And to try to tease out, right? You know, you actually raised some really interesting points there, and two of them come to mind that it strikes me that different aspects of the policy apparatus here in the US, be it the tax code, be it the legal field, have been able to make headway on trying to classify, treat, and then categorize crypto assets, be it DeFi, be it wrapped tokens, other uh, issues going on, albeit not always in a pro crypto manner. But it does strike me that a key piece that has been missing is to try to get some more clarity on the accounting and the attestation side, right? Either way, right?
Mhm.
Good or bad, but to have that clarity would really help, I think, quite a bit of entrepreneurs and also, as you mentioned, VC money sort of feel more comfortable investing going forward. And to round out our conversation here, and I always like to ask podcast guests this, and as we're already in October, it's a lot easier now as opposed to asking it back in January. But I always ask for some predictions or some forecasts for the remainder of the current year. So, Raph, I'm going to ask you if I had to make you make two predictions for Web3 tokenized assets between now and 12/31. What are those going to be?
Well, gosh, I would actually say one thing that I would from a Web3 perspective, what I will say is I think there's going to be more of an emergence of crypto accounting platforms that come out
Mm-hmm.
before the end of the year, to that are going, because from what I've seen, it's really an open market. There's no one that's kind of taken um, that to be a true leader in that marketplace yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I from a digital asset standpoint, there's going to be, I think there could be more ventures in the real estate side of the world. I think the biggest piece of this is going to be the enablement of crypto payments globally and very accessible to everyone. I think that's going to be the first step, and I think people really adopting and feeling way more secure in this type of technology. You have the FTXs and several others where that's still going down. I think that's unfortunately just brought down a lot of people's, not just individuals, retail folks, uh,
Mm-hmm.
businesses, the trust of the industry. So I think that's just been rebuilding, you know, slowly. I think that would be my prediction, that that's continuing to rebuild. It's
Mm-hmm.
new crypto accounting platforms that come out, because the market's wide open, and I think those are going to be the areas where I could potentially see a lot more backing in.
Mm-hmm. No, and as far as the ongoing trial of FTX goes, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the sooner and the more cleanly we are able to collectively sort of process what happened, and so we get past this and get past all the headlines and all the testimony that that is coming out every day. I think the better that the sector is going to be going forward. And Raph, it was an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. It's always a great time talking to you, picking your brain, on these number of trends influencing and impacting every aspect of accounting, now and going forward. So I'll be sure to have you back on again in the future. Again, Raph, it was an absolute blast having you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure.
All right, Raph. Thanks. Talk soon.
Thanks. Thanks.